warning is clear. Our streets don't feel British, and the end's drawing near. They divided the right, while the numbers kept rising. Time to stop the talking. It's time for deciding. Join Restore, or be no more. Join Restore, or be no more. Stand up together, fight for our shore. Join Restore, or be no more. Millions must go, send them back where they came. You must speak English, we don't care for the game. No more excuses, speak English or get out. Learn our traditions, don't force us to learn yours. Respect our culture or head straight for the doors. This is Britain, we don't bow to foreign laws. Join Restore, or be no more. Join Restore, or be no more. Stand up together, fight for our shore. Join Restore, or be no more. No more grooming gangs, no more two-tier rules, no more foreign flags flying over our schools. Put Britain first, protect our kids and our land. If you won't stand with us, then you don't understand. From the four nations, one people, one flag in the sky. No more division, it's do or it's die. No more talking, no more fear. The hour is late, and the moment is here. Join Restore, or be no more. Join Restore,
1 minute.
or be no more. Millions must go, send them back to the shore. You must speak English, or you're out the door. Join Restore, or be no more. Join Restore, or be no more.
Okay, guys, we lock and load the tune. Ready? And then we can get down to it. Okay, Freedom Dad hasn't done nothing, Galloway. It's what people are trying to do with Freedom Dad. I bet Freedom Dad can do without this today, because I know he's bloody rough with man flu. We know how bad that is. Pity women didn't understand how bad man flu was for a man, that's for sure. What's going on? Well, getting reports from Ulster that one, maybe more of those people arrested for protesting against what happened in Belfast in that terrible attack gave Freedom Dad's name as being one of the reasons why he was attending the protest. This, of course, has absolutely nothing to do with Freedom Dad. The fact that someone who was subsequently arrested for his actions, trying to link Freedom Dad to the mainstream media. I think it's the Belfast, the Irish Times and the Belfast Times. UK Splush was arrested as well. Yeah, I did wonder how they were allowed to video, but others weren't. Yeah, Freedom Dad, as we all know, works for peace between the Republican and Protestant communities in Belfast, Ulster, Northern Ireland. He's a tireless worker for peace. But of course, the media and Sinn Féin IRA, Sinn Féin INLA, don't want peace between the Catholics and the Protestants, do they? They want division. It keeps them in power. So getting reports that the INLA are now threatening the loyalists with reprisals for attempting to encourage people who shouldn't be in Ulster, Northern Ireland, who are not indigenous to that part of the world, encouraging them to leave. And so there could well be conflict again between the loyalists and the fake Republicans of Sinn Féin, INLA, who want division. Incredible, incredible. That's like fighting on the deck of the Titanic while it's sinking. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. So, just checking up on the comments. I'm hoping that perhaps later I sent a message to FreedomDad asking if he could come in and tell us what's happening over there, get the full story. I've got a couple of the newspaper cuttings, so I went and had a look. First, perhaps, what do I know? This is what I know about FreedomDad. Well, we all know his real name is Mark, yeah. He's a Belfast loyalist. He's an anti-immigration activist. He's a citizen journalist. He's always being covered in the local media in connection with reporting on protests, anti-immigration activity, and more recently, the events that have gone on in Belfast as a result of our government enforcing a population into their areas where they're not wanted. The people of Ulster didn't ask for these people to come there, just as the British people didn't ask for them to come to our parts on the mainland. It's the Irish News and the Belfast Telegraph who are really after FreedomDad. Yeah, well, on whose orders we know. Anyhow, basically a man who was accused of rioting, he told the police he'd seen a post by FreedomDad, and so he went down to observe the gathering. Anyhow, apparently he'd had a bit of a drink and he danced on top of a police Land Rover. End of the world, end of the world. And that he incited others during the disorder. Anyhow, they refused him bail and remanded him until the 8th of July. Did warn about stuff like this. Then, of course, there's what happened in October 2025. That man, I can't remember his name. He was accused of an illegal protest, yeah. Was ruled to have breached bail because he appeared on one of FreedomDad's videos. The judge said he'd watched the video and he considered the breach very clear. Well, this is how they silence us, isn't it? They forbid us to talk to people. Try to do it all the time. The Labour government's trying to fetch in a law now to close down posts on X and YouTube that they don't like. Or else, this is only what I know or been able to find out about FreedomDad. And I don't have any problem with his past at all or his actions. Yeah. They say that he's a former UVF linked loyalist. They don't say he was a member, they say he was linked, yeah. And might have been an armed robber for the cause, who can tell? And what else do they say? They say he uses his channel to support protests in the Republic, including Dublin and Limerick. Well, we know why FreedomDad goes down there. It's to try and bring peace between the community. I don't know if any of you are typing anything in. I can't see the comments. As for the more recently, they've been talking about FreedomDad on the Nolan show. I couldn't find a link to anything on the Nolan show directly, but there are references in on other social media sites speaking about FreedomDad on the Nolan show. Anyhow, So that's about the information I've got now. I'll show you some clips in a second. Is Freedom Dad in the room? Is he right? Oh, sorry, Freedom Dad. I was on another page. Let me get a link for Freedom Dad, guys, and he can give us the full score. Okay, with a bit of luck, we'll have Freedom Dad up here. I'll quickly show you this. Freedom Dad saying. Well, I bet you can do without this today, Freedom Dad, because I know you're not feeling very well. Sympathy,
Yep.
my friend.
Goes with the territory, Paul. Goes with the territory. You know, we all know what we're getting involved in when we do this. And I warned it was coming. I warned it would happen. I've been talking about it for over a year now of how it will play out, how it will end up, you know. Like I say, I'm not, you know, I am who I am. I don't have any fear in what I do. I do everything legally. I tell the truth. And that's it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I can't do no more than that. I don't give out misinformation. But yeah, it is what it is, mate. Listen, we know how it plays out. You know what I mean? Country awakens. You know, obviously, like I said, I called for a peace. I told people violence. I've always said that violence is never the answer. It makes us look bad. It gives them the reason to call us far right and racist. There's mistakes always made, like I've said, and this is everything that's happened. I've said it would happen. Mistakes are already always made. You know, and you know we've had our own community have their houses burnt during this unrest, and you know we now know then we've got citizen journalists arrested last night. I'm not going to say any names. I can say I know that his wife has put a post out on Facebook, so I can tell you Stevie Baker's been arrested. You know, so we don't know any more about it, and I'm not going to really talk any more about that. But yeah, and then so what happens now is like we see with the leader of the DUP coming on to the Nolan show, and there was an incident in Conswater that he mentioned that I reported on, involving guys that I report on, and you know, there's men out in bail because of it, and he made a connection from that incident and basically said that the same people were responsible for the incident in the Shankill Road, with the burning of the ex-Gospel Hall, which is I don't expect that from a leader of one of our parties to be coming up with conclusions like that without any evidence at all. I can categorically say, you know, being a citizen journalist and being on the ground, I have no idea who committed them offences, but I know who it wasn't. You know, that's for sure. And I think it's shocking, really shocking, and it tells me that they're up to something when they're bringing politicians onto the Nolan show to say stuff like that. They're arresting citizen journalists. This young man who got arrested and said he watched one of my posts and turned up at this demo. You know, I do believe that, you know, probably if he even did say it or were coerced to say it, you know what I mean? So I can see that what they're up to. We know this is what they do. They target the YouTubers. They got to blame somebody. They can't blame themselves. That's the thing, you know. But like I say, and like I've said from the start, I'm prepared to defend myself in any court, and I will explain that all about my videos, why I do my videos, how it makes me feel to see what's going on in England, Wales, and Scotland, how it makes me feel to see what's going on in Ireland. And I've got no problem, you know. Like I say, I speak from the heart, and I speak the truth. And I love my country, I love my lands. And I've been brought up a Protestant Unionist loyalist in Northern Ireland because of the Troubles. And that's who we are. We can't just turn that off and change just because, you know, of a rhetoric coming from the government and telling us that one battle's over, but you've just to ignore this one. At the end of the day, There's cities in England no longer English. Dublin is up in arms. There's horrific crimes happening all over both our countries, and we can see it coming to Northern Ireland. And you know, as a man from this country, it's my duty, if I have the opportunity, to explain to people what's actually happening while they're too busy with their heads down trying to feed their family, clothe their kids, and put petrol in their cars, because we're living in the highest cost of living, and everything else is going on in the world to distract us. Well, right under our noses, we're being replaced. And I don't apologize to nobody for that. And if they want to send me to jail for that, then let them try. Well, you know, it's a democratic country and I can defend myself, you know what I mean? And like I say, I've made enough videos telling people that violence isn't the answer, told them why violence, explained it in layman's terms to the guys on the street, what damage it does to us, and in the long run, what damage it does to the men who are bringing the truth to the people that were the truths that the government are hiding. That's where I'm at. But you know, that's all I've got to say on it, mate. You know, it is what it is, and we do what we do, knowing fine rightly what the consequences are and the dirty tricks that the government play. And you know, this is what I keep on saying. It's not any man can do this. It's no angels coming down from heaven. It's no men coming out of the church. It's men with the backgrounds like myself that's been in prison and know the law and are prepared to do what we need to do for our country. You know, and yes, of course, you're going to get the hate from the government. The government don't want you telling the truth. You know, they want the silences. You know what I mean? But you know, connecting me to things and stuff. You know, it's what they're going to try and do. But at the end of the day, I'm an open book. I do have well over 1,000 videos. I speak from my heart. It's unscripted, and I make sure I fact check everything before I put it out.
Okay, FreedomDad, you've got to excuse me because I'm looking at some links I've been sent concerning the Republicans. But first, while I'm doing that, have a look at this. There's the headline there. Belfast man danced on the roof of police Land Rover, and it says, accused admits he'd consumed half a bottle of vodka, then walked down to observe gatherings after seeing social media posts by individual known as FreedomDad. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, what other newspapers had he read? What other had he been watching Mickey Mouse? You know, is Mickey Mouse to be blamed? Or, you know, I find this incredible. Why would they mention your name, FreedomDad?
Mate, like I say, I've had 11 front pages, double spreads. It's been non-stop. I've been called everything from an MI5 agent to related to single pictures, being an orphan. I don't have any relatives, bar my daughter. Being put on the same page as the Dublin bombings whenever I was on my way down to Dublin, and and the rest, you know. Obviously they never leave my background alone, and it's just a complete another attack constantly on me in the last year to stop me saying what I'm saying and doing what I'm doing. Listen, there's the old saying, don't shoot the messenger. It's there for a reason, you know what I mean? And that's the world we live in, mate, you know what I mean? Like I say, I've been involved in the troubles. I've been in prison in every country, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. I know how to present myself. I know how to, you know, behave. I'm a good person deep down, and you know, I know what lines not to cross, you know what I mean? So I'm well versed in the legalities of criminal law, and you know, that's one of the reasons I do what I do.
But you're not a criminal, FreedomDad. You work for peace. I see that they were complaining about you going down into the Republic and making speeches down there, trying to promote peace, and yet they portray you as some kind of rabble-rouser down there.
Yeah, listen, Paul, I was brought up in Kerr, lost my mum when I was 8, went into Kerr, was abused twice. Lots of stuff happened to me in the system. Nothing ever happened to me in the streets. This is what you got to remember. I was looked after on the streets and abused in the Kerr of the government. Okay, so yeah, maybe I've got an axe to grind. There's other things that, you know, that's went on in my life, that, you know, that I have got an axe to grind. The bottom line is, I was brought through the system. I was a ward of court. The judge was my dad. Every time I moved, anything I needed to do or anything legally had to be done with me, I had to go through the courts. I had to go to the courts to go through that and get it okay by a judge from the age of 8. You know, I then went into Kerr, and then I was put into with criminals when I hadn't committed a crime. You know what I mean? I'm a production of Northern Ireland and the Troubles. I'm not making excuses, but this is who we are. We were brought up in the Troubles, and because of that, that's it leads to prison and all the rest of it. So I don't apologize for anything I say or do online or my behavior in any way at all. I stand by every single word I make, and it is through my lived experience of this world is what I say and who I am today, and it'll never change. It's as simple as that. And I'm not making excuses, but people need to know who I am and what I'm about and why I say and do what I do and why I behave the way I behave. You know what I mean? I do. That's where it comes from. It comes from the lived experience of the Troubles and living that experience and thinking, we've been through all that. I've been through all that, and now we're faced with replacement. And nobody's talking about it. No,
well,
right.
first,
None of the politicians are talking about it. You're far-right and racist if you talk about it.
Yeah. Freedom Dad, you were one of the I served in Belfast many, many, many times, right up until 1976. And I've told you how I felt about the IRA, PIRA, OIRA, and the rest of them. I hated the bastards. And it was only through listening to you, the words that you spoke about putting the past behind us, that their hatred was taken from me, Freedom Dad. I can't see how other people can try to paint you as some kind of terrorist, rabble rouser.
Well, that's where we're at. It's domestic terrorism. That's where they want to go with it. Same with the Islamophobia laws. Everything's directed around men like me to stop us getting the word out. And yes, of course, when crimes happen, people like me who are already speaking about what's going on in England and everything else, then obviously men on the street are going to react. We can't control every single man. All we can do is try and tell them this isn't going to work. This is going to make us worse. This is going to set us back 5 years, what you're doing. A peaceful, like I said, a peaceful demonstration showing the men on the street. The optics of that alone would have been enough. You know what I mean? And that's I made that clear on many videos running up to this because I'm on the ground. I knew what was coming. The police knew what coming. The government knew what coming. We've known. I've been saying this has been coming for I don't know how long, but all they had to do was address it. All they had to do was say, right, okay, you're right. Something's going wrong in England. Something's going on in Ireland. We promise you this. It's not going to happen here. That's all we needed to hear from our politicians. Now they're starting to change their tune. Now Nolan's on there starting to talk a wee bit like Freedom Dad. But he hasn't been talking like that for the last year. He's been bringing foreigners onto the show and interviewing foreigners to make everybody else feel bad about what's going on. So we look the other way or turn the other cheek and think, well, you know what? We can't do nothing about it. We've just got to get replaced because we can't do nothing wrong or bad. We've just got to sit here on our hands like our politicians do. They can't do nothing because of Westminster and the way it's all run. And they expect the men of Ulster to do the exact same. It's not going to happen. And that's the facts. This is what you're going to get. And it's going to get worse. And if another crime happens in Northern Ireland, that's going to look like Mickey Mouse stuff that you've just seen. That wasn't organised by paramilitaries. That was nothing like that. So yeah, this is where we're at, and the government need to address it. This should be enough because they know what's coming if anything else happens. I'm not spouting hatred. I'm telling you facts of the men on the street. If anything else happens over here, if anything happens to anybody that's come in illegal or anything, I tell you that it'll be 10 times as bad as it's been.
Okay.
And the police know that. The government know that.
But Freedom Dad, the Nolan show, the things that I've said about you, the things that the Belfast Times and the Irish News are saying about you, surely that endangers your life. There are crazy people out there.
Of course it does. They know fine rightly what they're doing. You know what I mean? And it's not just that. They've got the INLA threatening the
I
target
know.
rates. I've got the IRA threatening me in Ireland. You know what I mean? And
let me read this out. I can't get the image up. I've got a clip in here. It says here, high-profile dissident says Republicans will be mobilizing to defend homes targeted in disorder. A high-profile dissident Republican has said he and other individuals will be mobilizing after the homes of minority families were targeted in racist violence close to Ardoyne in Belfast. Damien D. Fennell posted on social media that he had visited the home of a very distressed family. What are they trying to cause? Are they trying to get the Republicans and the Loyalists at each other's throats again?
You can't make this up. You don't see what I'm seeing right now. We've got posts. There's a video of a boy from Ardoyne talking about the unity. They're at the Ardoyne roundabout. They were shaking hands. The unity was there. There's so much unity. We've got posts coming from the south saying they're going to come down and support us, but then we've got the other fractions in the Catholic areas coming out against these other fractions in the Catholic areas that are supporting the what's going on and saying, yeah, this isn't right. You know, we finally have Catholics coming out and saying, yeah, it's okay where I am now, but on the outskirts, it's like it's all foreigners. You know what I mean? Now, I'll tell you this now, that there's a footage going about right now of a boy from Ardoyne, and I worry about his safety because he's got to live in them areas, which is how bad it is.
I've got a video clip here. I'd have to download it before I can show it to the audience. Yeah, that man now, his life is at risk. Your life is at risk.
Yeah, so like my whole point of saying about Protestants, Catholics coming together, that alone I take some stick for. That alone puts my life in danger because people don't understand it. They're starting to understand it now. You know what I mean? But as I've been doing this in the last year in this country, you know what I mean? And trying to be able to move about freely in my own areas while trying to bring Protestants and Catholics together is really, really dangerous. You know what I mean? Because it's not something that we're used to. You know, yes, there is Protestants, Catholics obviously come together. I'm not first in that field. I'm not implying that. But I am one of the first to go online and get as much attention of bringing Protestants and Catholics together, both in Northern Ireland and South and North. You know what I mean? And you know that there is happening, but at the same time, there's also a backlash happening to try and stop it. And I believe that the government are implicit. Some of the government are implicit because they'll be funding these guys, this D. Fennell. They'll all be working for the government. They're all working for. We know who he is. We know that guy, right? He's a provo, right, man? We know who he is. This and whatever you want to call him, right? You know, he's got a history, and you know he's working. They're all working in unison with Sinn Féin. You know, Sinn Féin are all working in unison with the British government. You know, the Irish people are completely failed by Sinn Féin. The Northern Irish Catholics have been completely failed by Sinn Féin, SDLP, and Alliance. You know, the penny's dropping here. The government who are running this country are scundered by what they see because Protestants and Catholics are coming there. They're terrified that Catholics are going to vote for unionists and they're going to do everything they can. And if that means getting me unalive, then they're quite happy to see that happen, you know, or anybody else. Or see us all get arrested and see us all in the dock for being far right and racist and call us, and that'll be the headlines. You know what I mean? There's not a racist gun in my body. We can't win. We'll win it. We will win. Some of us will have to suffer before we win, and that's is what I'm saying. Hopefully, hopefully after anything happens to me, then maybe the next person that comes up suits the people of Northern Ireland. You know, hopefully he has the background that suits everybody, because that's the problem. You know, the problem is it is men like us that are coming up right now. The men with the past, you know, that aren't allowed the future are the ones that are sticking their necks out right now and taking all the flack and being arrested like Stevie Baker. You know what I mean? And it's non-stop. It's non-stop. We've got so many men on bail. You know, Glenn Keane being on bail. This will be well over 2 years for memorabilia and a magazine. A year and a half having to sign on every week, making himself a target when he's one of the most well-known Protestants in Northern Ireland. You know what I mean? The things that they do to us do put our lives in danger, and they would be quite happy a dissident organisation targeting me. I mean, I've had dissident leaders going to the papers saying they've had to move house and change their cars. Absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. But it's all together. They're all together. The far left newspapers, the dissidents, the Sinn Féin, and even some of our politicians, like the leader of the DUP, coming out and spouting that nonsense on the Nolan show, all brings trouble to my door and the people around me's door. You know what I mean? I wasn't on the streets we weren't on the streets throwing bricks. You know what I mean?
No.
If anything, there was men there trying to make sure that they weren't burning houses. There was men out there stopping a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? You know, that's the fact. I don't want violence. I don't want to see fucking violence. That doesn't do my cause any good. Does it? What do you think? Do you think any patriot that's doing what we're doing wants violence?
No, Well, I was out there, so I know what it's like, sectarianism. I've been so happy to see it's terrible to say this, but to see the common enemy, if you like, of the Catholics and the Protestants in Northern Ireland. I thought it took a terrible thing to bring about a terrible bloody time from our past. I'm like you, I want peace. Freedom Dad, I haven't seen what the DUP politician said. Can you remind me again, please?
No, it was just based. There was an incident in McDonald's in East Belfast. You know, and it's an ongoing case. I reported there was a couple of demos at that McDonald's. I spoke at it because what happened was filmed. We had the evidence of what happened. What they were saying didn't happen. You know, but unfortunately, they won't. You've got to go to court, and it takes fucking ages, and men are going to be in bail. But the evidence is there that these. I can't say too much because it is an ongoing case, and I do not want to jeopardize this case at all.
All right.
And you know, and then he's made a connection of the same people were involved in the gospel hall being burnt in the Shankill, you know, and like I say, that's bad crack. That is bad crack. You know what I mean? Like I say, it's at the other part of the city. Men don't get involved in each other's businesses in Belfast. That's the way it works. It doesn't work. It won't work out well for you if you try and jump into each area and try and do things like that. That's mental. He knows that, you know, but something else is going on for him. A man of that stature, who I've interviewed him on the streets when he came out to supposedly support the Patriots that were out last year. And I asked him about no ID. I told him about me traveling. I'm never asked for ID. I go to the south and back. Nobody even, there's no checks. I go to Scotland, I go to England, and there's no checks. I never see a police. I never see customs. Never once do I need to produce who I am. You know what I mean? And he went, and his answer was, "Oh, but you mightn't be getting asked for ID." But I'm there. I'm one of the most well-traveled guys because of what I do, going back, and I travel the cheapest way. When I get buses, there's always over 50% foreigners on them. And I see them getting off the buses. I see them going into the cities, whether it's Glasgow, whether it's Manchester, whether it's Dublin, whether it's Belfast. And nobody's stopping them. Nobody's stopping them. They can go from Dublin to Belfast to Scotland and England, and nobody's stopping them. I'm there. You know, you're not hearing of it. There's it would be on the news and everything. It's I think I've heard of 2 people being stopped. Maybe the government want to release some stats and put the people's minds at rest. And maybe prove that it's misinformation from me again. You know what I mean?
Well, I think I know who I believe, Freedom Dad. Perhaps that's why I think it's the information that you just gave out there is probably enough for them to want to silence you, because I hadn't even thought about Ulster being a gateway into the UK. Via the southern border.
It's a gateway from Europe. It's not a gateway from. It's a gateway from Europe. It's a gateway from Holland, Germany, Belgium, France. The most fucking. You should know the percentage. There's Spain. I've just given 500,000 citizenships to fucking foreigners.
That's what they're admitting to.
That's what they're admitting to. You know, they can go anywhere they want. You know, Britain is the amount of money that we're giving out to these guys. Why would they not come here? We've got the softest system in the world, softest prisons, the softest judicial system, and the softest police. They only beat patriots. They know, and they come over and they rat and they do. They won't even use dogs or horses or anything against these guys. Why would they not come here? You know.
Can't blame them for coming here, but
of
also
course it's not their fault. You know what I mean? Of course we know that, and we shouldn't even have to say that. We know who's at fault. You know what I mean? It's the government's fault, but like it's not their fault. But you know, at the same time, it's a traitorous government let them in, and things need to be adjusted. You know, there is remigration. You know, immigration is good, but all we're wanting to know is are we going to be Are we going to be like Leicester or Luton? You know, Rotherham and all these. We want to know when's the tap getting turned off? When's the limit? You know, why is there undocumented men? Why is there men that can't speak English? If they're coming here to be doctors, nurses, and engineers and do the jobs we don't want to do, you know, then, you know, why can't they speak English? The other thing about the jobs that we don't want to do, you know what they're doing? They're doing the jobs that we don't want to do because it'll be the jobs that will be going up against the people, to stop the people. That's the jobs that we're doing. They'll be putting uniforms on. And that's the jobs that we don't want to do. We won't be cleaning toilets. You know,
No.
they're coming here to police us, just like we've seen in Ireland when they used them as security guards. That's how they're all getting their security badges. They learn English. They get accustomed with the common laws of this country, and then, as you've seen with their recruitments, they will go into the police. And when the Irishman and the Ulsterman, the Englishman, the Welshman, and the Scotsman don't want to stand up against their own when the time comes to it, then they'll have a big enough police force made up of foreign nationals to do the jobs that the locals don't want to do.
Freedom Dad, I had a look into that actually the other day. 10% of the police force of England and Wales are now what they consider to be minorities. Well, they're not real minorities. We're the minority. So 10% of our police force, and those numbers are growing day by day. Decent police officers are being forced to leave, and if you don't toe the line, you're out. And this is why we've got some of the police that we see today. Well,
like I say, I don't know how many. I know for sure we've got 2 citizen journalists arrested last night. Not sure of the third. One Ulsterman and possibly 2 English or 1 English. One of the guys from England. You know what I mean?
I saw there was a arrest of a UK sploosh guy.
No, I haven't seen it. I wasn't going to put it out there, but yeah, I believe that's who it is.
Yeah. Oh, boy, we got it easy over here. I've got it easy compared to you, Freedom Dad.
Yeah.
Oh God.
But, like I say, it is what it is. You can see why it happens. I've seen I've seen that one. Yeah, he's trying to. I'm just seeing a video there of a police officer can't even hardly speak English.
Yeah.
The one where they try to arrest a man in the van or try to ask for his documents. It's an old one. But listen, guys, this is what it's about. This is what the government do. Remember, it's a traitorous government. Remember, it's a far left government. Remember, they're not even their puppets. The puppeteers are the ones that control them. And we are the enemy. The people are the enemy. The men, the locals, the English, the Scottish, the Welsh, the Ulstermen, and the Irishmen. This is why they don't like our flags. This is why they call the tricolour far right. This is why they call the English St. George far right. You understand? This is where we're going. They're the enemy of us. And the men at the front are going to be the first to suffer. The men at the front online and the men at the front that come out in the future whenever they realise there's probably is no other option, But like I said in my videos, this isn't a time for violence. This is a time to let our politicians know that this is the numbers that will come out to the street. This is how many people are awake. We know what you're doing, and we want it to stop immediately. That's all that needs to be done. That's all that needs to be done. But some people
they know, though, our government already knows this is not what the people want. They've known for 30, 40 years that the British people, and by British, I obviously include Ulster, Northern Ireland. For 40 years, we've said, stop immigration. And they don't listen to the people. And now, when they're talking about Northern Ireland, are the people waking up to just who the real enemy is, being Sinn Féin? Because Sinn Féin seems like a bloody enemy to me.
100%. But the big problem with the Catholic community right now, that I don't know what percentage it is. I imagine it's 80-20. I imagine 80% of the Catholic community understand what's going on, understand what needs to be done. I believe 20% the dissidents, the hardliners, the ones that really hate Protestants and don't care how they get the Brits out, whether they use the foreigners or not. They don't care what the future of their lands are looking like in 50 years' time. They're the ones that are causing problems. There's Philip Dyer. He's from South Ireland, came down to report and was attacked by Catholics. So this is a Catholic from the Republic of Ireland, a YouTuber, patriot, coming down into a Catholic area in North Belfast or in Northern Ireland and being attacked by his own guys. And it was quite sad, because he's a nice guy. He presents himself well, But that's just where we're at. So we've got the hardline dissidents coming out with all these statements saying that they're going to protect the foreign houses. We've got the Catholic people on the streets saying they don't want the foreigners in their houses. They want locals in their houses,
But
and then
I've got to say this though, Freedom, that 20% of them are hardliners. Those 20% can be violent. And we know that they can use intimidation against the other 80% to make them bow to their wishes,
of course,
regardless of what they think as individuals.
Of course. But we're now finally seeing the cracks. We're now finally seeing Catholics brave enough to come out and put their face on camera. What's happening in the last 24 hours, as far as that's concerned, as far as hearing the voice of the Catholics, is remarkable. It's new. It's something that we haven't seen, and I encourage more to come out and do the exact same. You know, it's not about hatred. It's not about being far right. It's not about being racist. It's just about saying that you as a Catholic, you don't believe what you're seeing on the streets of Belfast is good for our culture and our traditions, both of us, Protestants and Catholics, going forward. And we can agree to disagree, but also look after our own cultures and traditions going forward, and making sure our lands stay exactly as we left them, you know. And that's it in a nutshell, mate. You know, it's you know, I'm not going to go into all the reasons and how bad it is and all the stuff that goes on in Leicester and Blackburn and all these countries, and all the negative stuff that comes from it, because we'd be here all day, you know, we'd be here all day. All we're saying is we don't want it. We never voted for it. We never asked for it. Yes, we do understand that you need to make money, government, because we're all dying off and not enough for us having children. But you need to address that. The LGBTQ in schools needs to be addressed. We need to work out why we're not having children. You know, yes, there's a cost of living. More money needs to be pumped into families. Women and men who stay at home to look after children should be rewarded handsomely for it. They should be encouraged to have as many children as possible. And that's what we would have done back in the day. Why are we not doing it today? Because the men back in the day were true British men. The government that were running it, I could believe, were true patriots and true Brits, and like Enoch Powell and the rest. Today, the government, they're not British. They're compromised and they're traitors. And any government official doesn't stand up right now and say enough is enough, and at least protect Northern Ireland and have it some sort of base for refugees that need to come from England and Scotland eventually in the future, then I don't know. I don't know what else to say or do. I really don't. But I'm not going to stop saying and doing what I've been saying and doing for the last fucking 2 years. That's for sure.
Well, as long as I'm alive, I'll promote you, Freedom Dad. I'll promote any man who works for peace between Catholics and Protestants in Northern Ireland. Is there anything we can do over here on the mainland channels like this small one? Anything at all?
No. It's just listen. It's Northern Ireland. It's not that big. We've only got 2 million people here. You know what I mean? It won't be that difficult. You know what I mean? It's just you know, I think we're on the right road. In the last year, we've got an immense awakening, and it's been to the hard work of the patriots and the citizen journalists and activists. And I'm quite proud to be here. I am. I'm quite proud to have the people around me that have worked so hard. And yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where I am. I can be lying in a prison cell, and my heart will still be so proud of what I've achieved for my country and for my wee girl. You know.
Oh, you've earned your name you've earned your place in the history books, Freedom Dad. Look, I don't want to be too dark, but apart from you, I can't think of any other loyalist patriots out there trying to promote peace in the way you do. At least I haven't seen those channels. If they're out there, I'd really like to know about them.
Yeah, no. Well, Stevie Baker's always been cross-border, cross-community, citizen journalist. You know what I mean? Like I say, he went in the Catholic area there, and he was received quite well. Obviously, he had to get escorted out because of a car and a bit of, you know, you have to be very careful. You know, the police did have to get him out of there, but you know, he tried. He's a lot braver than I am. I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have went in there. I probably wouldn't have fared too well for me going into some of these areas. So even with the risk and the hatred that we get, we still don't stop. We don't hold it against every single Catholic. It's not all the Catholics' fault, and we all know that. And I've got so many friends, ex-paramilitaries, that have got Catholic friends. You know, it's not something that's new. It's just something that hasn't been big, and it hasn't been promoted or spoke about. It's always been underlying of Protestants and Catholics. Every Protestant has a Catholic friend. That it's like I'm not racist. I've got a black friend. No, it is a bit like that. You know, over here with Protestants and Catholics. There is lots of Protestants and Catholics that work together. You know, they probably leave their politics in the house, and maybe when they go back or they have a drink, they listen to some rebel songs or loyalist songs. A wee bit of hatred stirs up. You know, but at the end of the day, we are in a situation where we've been at peace for a long time. And we can respect each other And, you know, not everybody can forgive and forget. And we're not asking everybody to forgive and forget. We're just asking for dialogue, communication, and to be on the same page going forward. And like I say, if you want to go back to the Troubles after we sort our country out from this invasion of what I see of undocumented men coming in boats and visas, then we can go back to the Troubles if they so require. There's men will accommodate that. I won't accommodate it. You know, I don't want to be fighting with anybody. You know what I mean? We should be living in peace. We should be concentrating on our children. We should be concentrating on families. We should be concentrating on community. And we should be learning the grow food and stuff like that, and getting back to our basics, just in case something goes wrong in the future with electric. If we're going to go all digital, then if the electric goes, we're not going to be able to spend our credit cards. You know, there's not going to be no fridges. We've got to think about all these things, that the way the worlds are going with Russia and China, America, Ukraine, you know what I mean? And the way Europe, NATO's behaving, you know, there's something happening. There's something big happening. You've seen with COVID and other stuff that's popping up, you know, so we don't know what's around the corner, you know what I mean? And we do not want to be in a state where we've got no electricity, all the lights are out, there's no security, and we've got a shitload of men who are very dangerous in our country that came here illegally. We don't want to be in that situation in Northern Ireland.
Well, the thing is, Freedom Dad, it took me a long time to stop hating. So, yeah, it's a big battle, isn't it? Because I hated for so long.
Yeah, I know. But you don't go anywhere with hate. It kills you, makes you no well.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, sometimes a lot of people have different reasons for hating. And, you know, you got to remember, you can't tar and feather everybody with the same brush, as they say in Northern Ireland, you know. So, yeah, we've got to be conscious of that. We aren't racist, we aren't anti-immigration, but we need to be very careful of what's going on, especially in a small country like Northern Ireland, because it doesn't take over 50% for us to be a minority. You know, for us, it only takes 20 or 30% for it to be out of control for the future. This is 20%. That's all it takes before it runs away, before it's out of our grasp, before nothing anybody can do about it. You know, everybody sits. Go ahead.
Freedom Dad, the people of Ulster have sent a warning to the government. Yeah,
Yep.
The events of the other night. They've said, we've had enough. Some men maybe went a little bit too far.
Yep.
But that sends a warning to the government. Now, will the government listen to the people of Northern Ireland? Will they listen to that warning, or will they stamp down on them?
They're going to have to listen to the warning, mate, because honestly, this is on the street. You know, I can categorically tell you that no matter what the papers want to say, no matter what anybody says, the paramilitaries were not involved in any of them, the unrest in Northern Ireland in the last couple of days. No. These have been men on the street. There's men have stood back. Nobody's done anything. You know, at the end of the day,
no.
and the government know this. So I'm telling you what you don't know. But the government know this. If the paramilitaries were to come back and get involved, then they'll know their arse from their elbow then. Okay, that's all. And they know that. So when you got these commentators and these small-time reporters blaming it on the paramilitaries, and there was paramilitaries, just because they want to sensationalize it, you know, the paramilitaries weren't involved. It was as simple as that, you know.
Yeah.
There was no paramilitaries out there. Or the community leaders came out to make sure whenever things got out of hand, they tried to stop it. And that's, you know, that's fact. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They tried to stop the burning and all the rest of it. And yeah, I was on the ground as an observer, and I can vouch for that. You know, there was men out there trying to stop it. You know,
yeah.
When houses were getting burnt and cars were getting burnt. You know what I mean? But you know, all I'm going to say, there wouldn't be any mistakes if the paramilitaries were involved. There wouldn't be any local houses being burnt if the paramilitaries were involved. That's all I'm going to say. That's my feeling, how I feel right now of the streets of Northern Ireland.
Well, I'll be completely honest. You know what I'm like. I'm sorry, Freedom Dad, I don't give a toss about those HMOs being destroyed. I really don't. But that's me personally. I do have sympathy for local residents who suffered it. And I'm damn well sure that the loyalist community will rally round, as they always do, and help put things right there.
Yeah, of course. Of course, yeah. And thank you so much for the donation of £100. You know, like I say, I'm pretty close to the family who lost their house. and yeah, they say thank you. So they did. Thank you so much.
I wish it could be more. These big giant channels, you know, and Freedom Dad, you should monetize and raise some money for yourself, because you can do with it like I do, donate it to someone else. That's what I got.
That's where my head's been going. You know what I mean? Like I say, the monetization, it is, you know, it is something that would help. You know what I mean? Like I say, I'm looked after, but you know, everybody's struggling right now, and you don't want to be a burden. But you know, the big thing is because of so many channels making so much money from YouTube on the right side, and just the way it, you know, the way people are talking in the chatter. The last thing this is what I've always said. I don't want to be standing in the rain reporting on a demonstration or a demo or a protest, and people saying I'm doing that for money. I've never. It takes the loudness of your words away, I believe. You know what I mean? And I think the most important thing is the words is more than the money right now.
But that's why I came into it, Freedom Dad. I mean, I originally took a vow never to accept any income. Yeah. I said, I don't want money. I don't want it. But I had to accept advertising because YouTube would have it. So I thought, well, I'll use the advertising revenue, which, as you know, is you probably don't know, and I'll show our audience later how much the YouTube videos make for us. And it's peanuts. And because of the overheads and the debt, if you like, in getting the channel running and the equipment to run it, I realized that I couldn't do it on ad revenue alone, and I was bleeding my wife's account dry. So I thought, well, reluctantly, I'm going to have members and let them know straight. I will never put anything behind a paywall that they have to pay to say it. And I've told members, when you become a member of the Green Arrows, the only thing you'll get is one of these badges. You'll get one of the little Union Jack badges that I've got. These badges, the Green Arrows. And I've got to get one to you, Freedom Dad, for you and your guys. And I've said you get nothing except my thanks from the Patriots, and now I can pay the bills for the internet and everything that goes with it. And that's what you should do. Also, they've bought me one of these. They bought me a gimbal so I can go out and video. You know, that's from the supporters.
But see, the way it works with me is, you know, I get given equipment. You know, I've had equipment given to me by really good patriots. I've actually got a battery pack along the one of the guys that helped me out. You know, so, and Tony Martin, he's given me batteries, and you know, and other guys, and like all when I'm about, my mates buy me breakfast and stuff like that, and I have buy me a coffee. That's enough to get me from A to B. So it is. Sorry, I had a phone call there.
Okay.
That's enough to get me from A to B when I'm traveling to Scotland and England to cover the demos and talk to patriots and find out how they're feeling, what happened, how did it get the stage it's at, and what did they do to try and stop it, and why. You know, this is all the crazy. All the stuff I do is to work out what went wrong in England and how do we stop it happening here. That's everything. That's what I'm focused on. You know, obviously I'm not delusional, and I can't help England. You know, fucking Freedom Dad in Northern Ireland. But I can do a lot from my own country, you know what I mean? And I have done a lot from my own country, and like I say, I'm proud of what I've done.
Well, I'm proud of the ones who support you.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work without the support I've got. I have to say that the men and women around me are what makes Freedom Dad. Freedom Dad is not a single entity. Freedom Dad is it's just it's a whole thing, you know what I mean? So it's like I say, the channel's all mine. All the work I do is all mine. I do all my own editing, and I get a wee bit of help with moderators here and there on different socials. But you know, like I say, it's a whole network. It's my chat. It's the people on my channel. It's organically grown. I never ask people. I never put up the buy me a coffee link. I never do stuff like this on my channel. I'll always go to smaller channels. You know, I don't entertain big channels who want to interview me, because obviously some of them have got hundreds of thousands of, and then I get all the subscribers, and then I don't enjoy my lives because the chat goes like mad. So it's not about the money. It's about enjoying it and having a good community, a community that supports me for what I need, and that's it. I'm happy. You know what I mean? And nothing needs fixed. You know what I mean? Everything is perfect. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things about the monetization and stuff like that, and the way I do the things the way I do. You know, because everything's perfect.
Well, I got to be completely honest. The backbone of this channel are Ulstermen and Ulster women. They're the backbone of this channel, and that suits me down to the ground, because you know how strongly I feel about Ulster and Northern Ireland and the people there. So for me, that's fine. I feel a bit sorry for the English, because I'm always playing Ulster songs.
Yeah, I know they don't mind. I'm sure they don't mind. I have never had any problem with any of my English friends and patriots. They're all pretty much the same as you. It's once they come over, they get the bug. Honestly, all the guys. It's no stopping. I'm going to have to cut it. I'm going to have to answer some calls, mate, and my WhatsApp. Again, it's just full. I'm not going to show you because there's too many names there. But yeah, I need to reply to some call messages, as you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh, what's that? Once you've gone orange, there's no going back.
No, I can't leave the orange and green out just for now. You know what I mean? Jeez, oh man. But yes, you can't say nothing right and saying something wrong. You know what I mean in Northern Ireland, but that's the beauty of it. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that about the tricolour flag. I mean, it was a flag I hated, but I didn't realise what the colours of the Republic of Ireland, their flag, the orange, the white, and the green meant. I didn't know that. I just didn't know that. Oh, well, I'll let you go, Freedom Dad. Listen, is there any danger of you being arrested anytime soon? They'll get you in the end, I know.
It's come on, you know what the system's like. There's always a danger of being arrested. There's a danger of everything doing this game, you know what I mean? It's nothing, nothing's changed as far as I'm concerned, you know what I mean? Like I say, I'm an open book, you know, I'm totally transparent, and I ain't saying sorry. You know what I mean? Because I haven't done nothing wrong, you know what I mean? So like, it is what it is, you know. There's just a lot of people worried about me right now. There's a lot of people messaging me, phoning me, because there's been citizen journalists. You know,
well, I'm more worried about what those comment, Paul. I'm more worried about what those people who were trying to sabotage you said. I'm more worried about them, because I know those are dangerous men.
Yeah,
I mean,
people. Well, the security's being up. The security's being up. Trust me on that one. Like the security, I'm taking it quite serious now.
See, and, I don't think people in Freedom Dad. I don't think people over here in the mainland realize just how dangerous it is for you. I don't think they really understand the mindset of Ulstermen or Republicans, the committed ones.
It's not just me. It's dangerous for anybody involved in the Patriot movement in Northern Ireland. That's a Protestant. Not just Protestants, but Catholics are easier for them to get, but they would definitely like to get one of us big names. So yes, they will. They have. It is. They've been going on about it for a while. There's no love lost between us. You know what I mean? And because of my background, you know, I would be a good target for them. You know, something for them to give back to their paymasters. You know, to be do welfares. You know, so. Yeah, it is what it is. Quite serious. It is the deep state. It is the far left. It is the Fabian Society. It is Sinn Féin. It's socialism, and it is communism, and it's bigger than anything I've ever come up against. I'm in a very deep pool, and you know, with very high edges. You know?
Okay.
So yeah, that's what it feels like.
Stay safe, Freedom Dad.
Thanks for having me on, and all my love to your chat and all our followers. Thanks, guys.
Freedom Dad, I'm on 24/7 if you need me. 24/7.
Thank you, Nick. Cheers. Thank you so much. Have a good day. See you all soon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Freedom Dad. Brave man, guys. Brave man. Real brave man. Okay then, guys. I'm stuck now. The time. Oh dear. Supposed to have gone and got some medication from the chemist for my wife. It'll be shut by the time I reach it. can't go now until 2:30. Okay then, guys, what do you think? Anybody think anything? Anybody like to come up to the mic and say anything about it? Give it a minute. Let's have a song. I remember these.
On a cold and grey November morn, as I left Belfast town, in a cold and lonely prison van, for a long cash I was bound. But my spirit was unbroken, my heart was still on fire, for soon I knew I would be with the men behind the wire. When the judge had passed his sentence and the warders took me down, I cried out, no surrender, bless the red hand and the crown. But grant me just one favor, that is my one desire. Please let me serve my sentence with the men behind the wire. There were many faces strange to me, and many that I knew, whose only crime was loyalty to the old red, white, and blue, and love for dear old Ulster, even in this darkest hour, did shine within these loyal men, the men behind the wire. So when this war is over and our victory is won, let's not forget the sacrifice made by these loyal sons. They were staunch and true for me and you, so lift your glasses higher. Where would we have been without them, the men behind the wire? Where would we have been without them, the men behind the wire?
Okay, guys, we'll wind it up now. The camera. Oh, look, and Paula. I'll have to adjust that, won't I? Okay, guys, that's all I've got for you for now then. We'll be back live at 8 p.m. If you're religious, pray for Freedom Dad's safety and those around him. I might even give it a go myself. You've been listening to Paul Morris, The Green Arrow. Stay safe, stay strong, aim vote low, restore Britain, and let's hope that Freedom Dad moves fast and stays low. See you on the next one.